Massaba's in the middle. Wednesday here could seal it. Casimir finds Masaba.
It's now Banner. Banner with a great ball in. Here's an opportunity. Palmer scores! Liam Palmer has scored for Sheffield Wednesday.
Another week, another terrible first half performance, yet another missed opportunity this season. Yes, we got a point. Yes, the gap is now only 5, but it's another disappointment. Did Danny get it all wrong with his starting 11? We'll be talking about that and everything else from the 1-1 draw with Cardiff on this show. Hello and welcome to the Wednesday Till I Die podcast. I'm James Mappin, and with me, as it always is Mr. Matt Johnson. Matt, how's things? All good?
Yeah, not too bad, James. Yourself?
Yes, all good. First of all, hope all the mothers out there have either had or are having a great Mother's Day, depending on whether you're watching or listening to this live or not. I mean, if you're watching us live, then maybe Mother's Day hasn't quite gone according to plan. Maybe it's not the best that it could have been. Or maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe this is the highlight of the day. Maybe it's the pinnacle of the weekend.
Hope so.
Yes, I'm hoping so as well, definitely. Anyway, did you get up to much this weekend, football aside?
Yeah, I mean, so a couple of people messaged me. Yeah, so my wife's been in and out of hospital this week. So yeah, the week's been fairly difficult in terms of fairly stressful. There's been exams on at work as well. So yeah, it was one of those where I also had a I had a mates night out planned in Nottingham as well, which I was really looking forward to getting absolutely spannered at. And then I thought, do you know what? Probably it's only an hour from Birmingham, so I won't drink and I'll drive. Apologies to anybody who does live in Nottingham. Tough night out sober, I'll tell you that much. Because we were discussing it beforehand. I don't think I've ever actually been to Nottingham for a night out and not been fully involved and invested type of thing. Tough evening. And then game on Saturday, which for the first 45 minutes, as you've alluded to, James, very tough, really, really tough. And then, today's been, dad duty on Mother's Day, which is, dad and son duty on Mother's Day, which has been, it's been quite decent.
Yeah, I went to British Oak myself. Lovely little Sunday roast. Mosborough, if anyone was wondering. I mean, I'm sure there's many other British Oaks around the place. Probably just one step down from a Red Lion when it comes to popular pub names, but it was decent, nice little, like I said, Sunday roast that we had. Nice. I mean, the pies they do there are absolutely top tier. We sat down, first thing came over, just need to let you know we've ran out of pies, and we're like, looked at 1:30. They only opened at 12. I'm like, what have they done? Like, have they dropped them all or something? And just, I've no idea what happened, but they did do a Sunday roast, and it was decent. Had the I'm about to say I had my hair cut. I mean, what little hair I have, I just tidied myself up and whatnot. Matt, have you ever had your nose and ears waxed or anything like that?
Once, never again.
Yeah, I can vouch for that one.
To be fair, James, did you go in and ask for it, or was it presented to you as an option, or did it just happen to you?
Yeah, no. Next minute, rammed him up my
bang,
nose.
Bang, bang.
No, he said, "Do you want your nose waxed?" And I was like, I felt brave. I was like, yeah, and then instantly regretted that decision when I'd said it, and I was like thinking, I can't now say no. You can't say yes and then be like, no, sorry, mate. Just, I'm all right. Thank you very much. Because, but yeah, he's put the whole, the cotton buds up the nose with the wax on it and everything, squeezed it together, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is gonna proper hurt.
Immediately regret my decision.
And he's got it all on the ears and everything. I'm like, just that time you have to wait is just. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that bad, but like at the time, it's horrendous. Yeah, I mean, I can breathe fantastically now. Yeah. But yeah, it's like tears like streaming down my face. Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as you. I probably won't take them up on that offer next, if I'm being honest.
You know what, James? I don't blame you. So just while we're on haircuts, I've had my haircut as well this week, and my barber offered me a really stupid deal of, do you want to go double or nothing?
Oh,
so
really?
I was like, all right, okay. And I weighed it up in my head. I said, well, how much is double? And he was like 40 quid. And I was like, that's not double because it's 23 quid for a haircut here. So I'm all right. Yeah. Go on then. Stupid decision. 40 quid for a haircut. Shit decision. 40 quid for a haircut.
What? Just on the toss of a coin, was it? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I originally wanted to play blackjack with him for it, but he was like, I haven't got a deck of cards with me. And I was like, all right, okay, well, then we'll do your game then. What for this one? Shit idea. Yeah,
And it was just a toss of a coin.
Or if you are a barber, because I asked him how many customers you done with it today? He said, I don't know, about 3 or 4. And I was like, oh, okay. I said, how many do you have to do to break even for a day, as in like to pay for like the rental of the chair and stuff? He said, I need to go through 3 haircuts a day to do the pay for the rental of the chair, and then everything else on top of that I can start having a bit of fun with. He said, for the last like 5, I've done it all week. He said, like there's like I think 3 of you who have taken me up on the offer. And he was like, he's done like well, if you're going to be a shit house, let's see whether you would have won it or anything like that. I was just like, do you know what? He's a really
that's
good
like
lad.
bullseye, that, isn't it? Let's see what you could have won.
Yeah. He's a really good lad, Robbie. So I thought, do you know what? Yeah, fuck it, why not?
Well, there you go. Looks decent for 40 quid, mate.
Yeah. I didn't get my nose or ears done, I'd say that much.
Anyway, talking about 40 quid, you certainly can't buy this for 40 quid. You'll need a lot of 40 quids to buy this one. Ryo Hatsuse gets off the bus. Did anyone else see it? I don't know if they did or not. It certainly went in the Discord. Where was it Tom said, we need to discuss Hatsuse's wash bag. First of all, it does look like he's picked up his missus' handbag by accident as he's rushing out of the house. But yeah, Tom did a bit of research as well. Hermes Brider-Brack vanity case. Mm-hmm. If you've got £910, then you can have one of those. I mean, more money than sense, aren't they? Some of these.
Yeah, I think. You see, I'm opposite James. I think it's nice work if you can get it. I genuinely quite liked it.
Matt, right? You know what? That's it. You cancel.
James, I would have gone down a different route. Don't get me wrong, but I think for 910 quid, some of the shite that you see footballers rocking, there was one that went viral a couple of years ago from James Maddison. He had like a see-through LV bag, which I think was coming up at $4,000, like a backpack or something like that. I think the phrase the kids use at school is drip or drown is the word for it, is the phrasing for it. It is most definitely drip because of the brand. I'm not convinced on the style, but hey, spend your money how you want, kid. I've got no problem with it.
Yeah, I think I'll be definitely in the drown category if in that case. Then I don't think Matalan and that quite cuts it, to be honest. But anyway, before we get on to more pressing matters, 7 years ago today, as we record this, 30th of March 2018, home against Preston North End, we're 2-1 up, injury time. Big Dave has it in the corner. Matt, we know what happens next, don't we?
Oh, I can't think of many better goals that we've actually seen at Hillsborough. I know we've seen some absolute screamers, but from a genuine skill perspective, there aren't many that have been better than that in the last decade, are there? Like there's a couple that people will be able to kind of like piece together of like, oh, this was an outstanding piece of skill or blah blah blah. I can think like Ross Wallace screamers, Bannon's hit some screamers. The Will Volks one at Port Vale always comes back to me. The Will Volks one at Wickham in the promotion
the tackle, the Will Volks tackle, is that what you're?
The one at Port Vale. The one at Port Vale, what a strike. The one at Wickham, what a strike as well. The disallowed one at Wembley, great strike. What a piece of skill though. That goal from Atty New Year's, the nutmeg. It's such an awkward strike with his left foot as well. Like it's such an awkward strike and just bends it in the corner.
Well, let's just listen to the hopefully this works. Let's just listen to the commentary for that goal.
Still New dribbling his way through. It's still Atty New Bends it into the top corner. What a goal that is from Atty New. That is fantastic. It's gone into the top corner. It's amazing from the Kosovan. Wednesday surely sealing it now. The Owls 3, Preston 1. What a finish.
Oh, Atty, what can you say? That is a superb goal.
I mean, it's amazing what you can do when your contract's coming up for renewal, innit, to be honest.
Him and Lucas Joe look like absolute Eto and Ibrahimovic for a couple of games, like towards that back end, from January through until the end of the season. The only criticism that I have is we couldn't get him a shirt to fit that season. And the celebration could have been better. That was a proper, like, head loss, don't know what to do with himself. Like, do you remember I've just mentioned it, the Bannon one at Milton Keynes? The celebration for that is dog shit. The celebration for that Bannon one is terrible. Like, he turns to run to the bench, then points at them, then jumps, then does some like little wiggle, and then people point to him, and you're just thinking, "Oh God, come on."
I mean, where's the Fletcher little whatever dance that he started doing, the little flapping his arms?
Yeah, flapping the wings and stuff like that. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we need some colder celebrations. George Byer's best celebration for me at Sheffield Wednesday in the last couple of years.
Yeah, where's Chef Kikuchi when you need him for a little swan dive? How he didn't break ribs, I have no idea.
It's a lot of weight landing on that ground, isn't it?
Do you know what? As well, I can remember being a kid, like trying to scoring a goal in the park and then practicing that one. Didn't quite fully get the landing on the chest, chickened out a little bit and put my hands down to break my fall. But yeah, don't see anything like that anymore. No. Anyway, let's get on to the match then. We'll talk about our starting lineup in a sec, but I just want to go straight through into the overall thoughts, really. It ends 1-1 against Cardiff. For me, the word, well, I said it at the top, it's just disappointing. I think all the other results have gone our way as well, which is annoying in itself, but just the, up against the side, down where they are. I know they're fighting for their lives, cliche, always tough games, all that, everything else. But when you're coming up against a side like Cardiff, I know it's away from home, but we've been decent away as well. It was just that first half, absolutely shite. Like, I saw a lot of people saying it's one of the worst halves that we've seen in a long, long time, and I had to agree. There was nothing. There was no impetus. There was no desire. If you would have said there's a team that could get playoffs and there's a team that could get relegated out of these two here in that first half, 100% you'd have had us switched round. 100%.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, James. I think it was the most Jekyll and Hyde performance, to borrow a phrase from. It was either Nick or Sups, I think, who put it in Discord. I think had we seen the level of performance that we did in the second half, in the first half and across the 90 minutes, we'd have probably gone on to win the game and take all 3 points, and we'd be sitting here being a lot more positive. I think, there was a lot of people scrabbling around for answers yesterday. I'll nail my colours firmly to the mast straight off the bat. Yesterday's on the manager, first and foremost, for the setup in the first half. And then it goes on to the players for how passive they were in terms of going forward. I'm not talking about a rearguard action, because I actually thought with the amount of chances that Cardiff created, we did well to keep it at 1. Second half, you got to give credit where it's due. They pulled yet another point out of the fire. To borrow a David Moyesism, the bounce back ability of this side is, it is ridiculous. The amount of points that we've taken from losing positions this season is something to be applauded, and that is a huge strength of this squad. But that yesterday from first half, in terms of the level of performance, from the talking it up in the press conference beforehand, from kind of like the noise that players have been making on social media in the international break, to come out and have that first 45 minutes performance was deflating, to say the least. However, credit where it's due. The substitutions that were brought on, I know we're going to come on to discuss it, huge impact. We dragged ourselves into a game to be able to earn the right to play football, and had it not been for a fantastic defensive clearance in the 80th minute or something like that, where it was running just clean through to Michael Smith, we could have run away 2-1 winners yesterday. Frustrating, but
yeah, I mean, just about Ian Dowie, he was that had bounce back ability.
Yeah, sorry, my bad.
Just before we got loads of comments.
What was David Moyes'? David Moyes had one.
No idea. No, let us know. Let us know in the comments. I'm sure they would have let you know that it was Ian Dowie, but I just had to help you out and get and save you with that one.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I think for me though, the whole, it was just how slow we were in the first half, and I get the point that we've been playing like that for quite, it's nothing new, is it? The slow starts that we've been having, and kind of playing more in the second half and coming into the games using the fitness perhaps that we've got and surprising teams. But I think that's probably why we've struggled against some of the top sides, because when we do play like that, it's all right, we were still 1-0 down. It could have been 2-3. You know, if it's 3-0 at half time, the way that we'd played, it wouldn't have come as a shock. There has been games when it's been like that. Middlesbrough is another one. Norwich 2-0. Like, you come against better teams, and they do put you to the sword. And had Cardiff been slightly better and, you know, not being down where they are, you know, they're down there for a reason. You know, they could have really put us away yesterday and really made it a lot tougher for us. You know, I said, you know, a positive at half time is that it's only one. You know, that they'd not ran away with it and stuff. But yeah, it's just how many times that we've had a chance of closing the gap or even getting into the top 6, and we don't seem to take it. It feels very much like last season. This, you know, in the how many times could we have got out of the bottom 3? I know obviously ultimately we did, and, you know, it ended all right. But, you know, it's like, oh, a win today, we get out, oh, we've lost. Then everyone else had lost as well around us. Because that was the other thing. I'm looking at the results as the game's going on. Half time, you're looking and going, literally nobody's winning around us. Not one team is winning. You know, Coventry have already lost. I think Watford had already drawn at lunchtime as well. So yeah, it was just really, really disappointing and, as you said, frustrating as well. Let's come on to the lineup then. Piers Charles in goal, Valentin Iofa, Ihekwe, Hatsuse, Bannon, Shalabar, Windass, Gassama and Patterson and Jamal Lowe. 4 changes, so Piers Charles, Valentin, Shalabar and Jamal Lowe all came in. Beadle, Max Lowe, Shea Charles and Smith all made way. I'm not going to lie, Matt, I saw the lineup and I was like, what? I had to do a bit of a double take. You know, you're expecting it to say Beadle in goal. Yeah. But, you know, to see Pierce in there, all right, I get that. You know, a lot of fans wanted it. I just did not see it happening whatsoever. Max Lowe, that's obvious. He was injured. We've been told he's going to be out for the rest of the season, which is a massive blow. And yeah, kind of chucking Firmino in there would have been a bit, yeah, that would have been another shock. So, you know, again, you know, not too surprised to not see him there. Smith for Jamal Lowe, we'll come on to him in a bit, to be honest. But the other big one was obviously Shea, leaving Shea out. Didn't kind of get it at first, but then, you know, quite other people pointed the fact out that he'd been on international duty in Northern Ireland, played 2 games for them. We are quite well into the season, you know, 8 games left before this one yesterday, so I kind of get that. But still, one of the most surprising starting lineups of the season. Do you not agree?
Yeah, no, I agree with you, James. I think if you're starting with the obviously the massive news, kind of the elephant in the room was the decision to drop James Beadle, obviously, in goal. That is a massive call. Because irrespective of what fans' particular opinions are on James Beadle, irrespective of what people have thought my opinions on James Beadle are, he's been the number 1 goalkeeper up to this point in the season. I don't disagree with the call to drop him at all, because Charles has deserved his chance in terms of not obviously the most recent round of international fixtures, because obviously they got spanned by Sweden, but that will happen when you've got the most lethal forward in world football playing for the opposition against you. But this is the first time in 18 months, near enough, that we have seen a consistent string of below par performances from James Beadle, both for us, and obviously that was backed up with the England under-21. And that is down to the ridiculously high standards that this kid has set for himself. Remember, he's 19, isn't he, James Beadle?
Yeah.
He's
I think Beadle's 20, I want to say, yeah.
20. So he's been playing for us, you could argue, you know, as a teenager, realistically, since last season, thrown into a relegation battle, has been brilliant. This season, past couple of weeks, okay, I get it. There have been a couple of errors that have come in and people haven't been happy with him, and it's felt like a couple of people have had pitchforks and been sharpening them, and, you know, the knives have been out for him, and this excuse has given them an opportunity to jump on the bandwagon for him. My only thought was, what on earth must Ben Hamer be thinking? And that's not, you know, that's not a slight against Piers Charles. That's a slight against okay, I get you wanting to take James Beadle out. Why wouldn't you chuck an incredibly experienced championship goalkeeper into the mix? Because the same issues are going to persist with Piers Charles as that they persist with James Beadle. Piers Charles is not experienced at coming out and claiming crosses. He's not experienced at coming out at championship level in any sort of nature. Yes, his distribution from the limited amount of time that we've seen is absolutely fantastic. But there were already a number of people who have been getting on his back. And this lad's played a couple of cup games for us. With 8 games to go, that is a huge call to make. Now, on the day, actually, I thought Piers Charles did relatively well. He had very little to do. He could do nothing with the goal because it's a smart finish. He made a couple of, I would say, routine saves, but just kind of made them like safe so that there was no trouble or danger. He had an okay game, but ultimately, at the end of the day, we have conceded one, which is pretty much par for the course with every other game this season. The other one that I was most surprised with is the inclusion of Nathaniel Chalobah. And this isn't because I dislike the player at all. It's the fact that he's playing in a 2, not a 3. His best performances that we have seen from him of when he's been alongside Ingleson and he's been alongside kind of like Bannon, or he's been playing in a 3. And he also has somebody up top who the team can hit, because it stretches the pitch and allows Chalobah to create space for himself and dictate it and find those wide players. In a 2 in our current system, it does not work for me with Nathaniel Chalobah. He's not mobile enough. He's not strong enough in a tackle. And I think he needs the support of a 3, which is what I thought at the start of the season we were going to consistently play. And I think that's what Danny thought we were going to play, which makes sense for the signing of the player. Playing him in a 2 yesterday, you could have hooked pretty much any of them at halftime yesterday, but I was adamant that he had to come off for the betterment of the team yesterday, because the difference between him and Shea Charles yesterday was night and day.
Yeah, when you saw the lineup, was you happy with it, or do you? I mean, are we ever going to be happy if Shea Charles is not in the starting lineup? Probably not, because I think this was the first time where I looked at it and I was a bit like, I've been saying, and quite a lot of people saying we need to win this game. Like, if we've got any sort of hope or chance of getting in the top 6, really we needed to win and put the pressure on and make it a little bit as easy as we can, really. Which is it's going to be a tall order anyway. But the more games you go without winning, it's just going to get further and further away. And I just looked at that lineup and I just thought, I just can't. I can't see it. Jamal Lowe, we've got Patterson on there, but there's no Smith. We're playing Jamal Lowe up top, it's been poor. Let's be honest. Most of the season, yes, he's hit the back of the net a few times. Not having Shea Charles either. Yes, I get the whole fact that he might be tired and stuff, and it's looking at the bigger picture. But I don't know. I just looked at it, and for the first time where I wasn't as confident going into a game. Most of the time, we say, we look at it and we go, "Meh, it's all right. Yeah, that's fine. I get it." This one was the only one that I wasn't kind of totally happy with.
I do understand. Again, I am still very much on board of completely trusting the manager implicitly with regards to the team selections. My only concern for it was when we actually saw how the side was lining up actually on the pitch just after the game had kicked off and Callum Patterson was right of that front 3. I've got a problem with that because... Yeah. Again, with Callum Patterson and Paul Valentin on that right-hand side, what you are effectively saying is we are not going to play down this side unless the ball's in the air. And that's not a slight against Callum Patterson. When he's played up front over the past couple of weeks, he's run his blood to water. He did exactly the same in the second half yesterday when he was moved centrally. It also... Centrally for Jamal Lowe, unless we played the ball on the floor, it hasn't worked. I know we're going to come on to discuss this a little bit later, James, so I will save a lot of the points here. But the more that kind of like panned out, the more you kind of had to, I think. And Danny recognised that he made 3 subs at half time, so he knew he got it wrong. And he as publicly as he can, held his hands up and said, "This is my fault." It didn't work for a number of reasons yesterday in that first half. It was... I wouldn't want to say when the lineup came out, I was like, oh my God, because I think I was so drawn to the fact of you had Piers Charles starting in goal and no Shea Charles. Because just coming back to that point about Shea Charles, every other international break he's played. I know we're at the end of a long season here. He is a young lad who will be desperate to play football at every single given opportunity. He should be starting every single game for Sheffield Wednesday unless injured or suspended, because we have only got a handful of performances left from this player and we need to eke out everything.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny, actually. I did a pod with one of the Southampton lads, and it was just solely on Shea Charles, which was quite depressing when you're talking about him pulling on a red and white shirt next season.
Never be here again.
Never leave me. I was talking to him now. I say exactly what you just said there. He plays 2 games in international breaks, comes back straight into the team, and then lo and behold, the game after, and he doesn't play. So people will be saying, he's talking a load of rubbish, him. But yeah, Matt, I want to sort of come on to the fact that we can't play well for 90 minutes, which I find it has been a common theme. I was just thinking then as you were talking about how many games this season have we actually played well for the whole 90 minutes? And there's none that are jumping out at me. I'm sure there will be a few, but every single one, there's been just, lulls in the game, or we've set off really slow, or we set off like an absolute train for the first 15 or 20 minutes, and then it kind of peters out a little bit. I don't know whether it's a fitness thing, because, we can say, like, let's be conservative in the first half and give it a real good go in the second, but I'd rather just be able to play at that sort of level throughout the whole 90, if you know what I mean, and make it, you don't see other teams doing that. I mean, I've just had a look as well before. 15 games we've been losing at half time. We've been leading at half time in just 8 this season. I know full time does paint a little bit of a different picture. 15 defeats. It's not every single one at half time that we've gone on to lose, of course, but still 15 defeats. Somehow we've had 14 wins. Conceded 24 goals in the first half versus scoring just 15. We just seem to have that kind of slow start in us, which, as a fan base as well, you want to get behind the lads, and then they set off, and it is just a bit disappointing.
I understand. I'm just going to highlight this point by Richard Mullins here, because I think this pretty much encapsulates exactly what I was coming on to say. The team as a whole is not up to 90 minutes of Danny Röhl football. Personally, we're getting better from when he first came in, but I think it's more the quality of the player rather than Danny's tactics. I think it is as simple as that. And I know we're going to come on to recruitment when we talk and discuss kind of Jamal Lowe and some of the sidings who played yesterday. It's repetitive. It's really boring, but it is true. If we remove the squad issue aside, we do like to see how a team is going to set up before making adjustments to suit the nature of the game and look to take a game away from a side. It still seems to take Danny and the coaching staff 45 minutes to work out what an opposition is wanting to do and how to go and exploit those weaknesses and recognizing the patterns of play on the day, whether that's similar to kind of like the previous games, what they've changed, what they've done. He's constantly in a first half going back to his bench and looking at the iPad. Now, whether he's watching reruns of us, I doubt it.
Subscribe if you're listening, Danny.
Yeah, please, mate. But I would imagine that he's going back and looking at the shapes and looking at the cameras from the angles above and kind of pulling up little patterns of play when the goalkeeper's got it, what they do from throw-ins, what they do from free kicks, how they can exploit it. Our MO for the entire season is to keep it as tight as possible for 45 to 50 minutes. Now, in some games, we cut that down to 1. In very few, we keep it down to 0. Some occasions, games have got away from us. Yesterday was a prime example of a game a better side in this league would have punished us. We would have been 2 or 3-0 down at the break, and we would have been needing a miracle. And then after 50 minutes, we stretched the game, and that's where we let our fitness, I think, it shines through, because I don't think with the amount of injuries that you've had and the lack of quality within this side in terms of the actual strength in depth, I don't think you can deny that we are one of the fittest teams in this league. Like, we are unbelievable at going deep into games and still looking threatening. Like, there have been games and there have been sides that have either come to Hillsborough, Luton, prime example. Luton came to Hillsborough, and had it not been for 3 players on that day, that could have been 3-4-1. It's the heroics of the goalkeeper and the 2 centre-halves, because Luton were dead on their feet, and that was a lot of new players who they had, who you would be thinking they're desperate to make an impression. We had all the running in the last 20 minutes, all of the running. The only side where I've seen come and really put us to the sword for the last 20, 25 minutes was Bristol City at home. Yeah. Where we were clinging on at 2-1, and then they get the goal, and we're like hanging on for dear life, and we just look completely spent. But aside from that, there has been no side that has run us ragged. I just feel that there are, you were mentioning that this doesn't happen with other teams. I would argue that aside from the top 4, this happens with all of them in that mid-table. That mid-table, they go through little dips and passages of play in a game where it all looks a bit disjointed, disorganised, and they look a bit crap. I'd say they probably have less than us. Like a Norwich probably have less than us week to week. That's probably why they're a little bit higher. But even West Brom, who's sitting 6th, the Hawthorns, we went to the Hawthorns a couple of weeks ago. West Brom weren't great for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
West Brom were great for half an hour in the first half and then got a goal in the 98th minute after we'd had one disallowed, one ruled out, and then they stepped on the gas for the last 5 minutes. But it's because of the players that they're able to bring off the bench. The quality and the drop-off is nowhere near as severe as ours normally.
Yeah, I think it also comes back to what I was saying, and I've said many occasions where we haven't been hammered in any game, like, totally beaten, other than that, like I said, them 3 at the start of the season.
Yeah.
But similarly, we haven't really hammered anyone else either. Like we've not gone into a game and dominated for the full 90 minutes and really put a team to the sword. Much.
Plymouth first game, I think you could say that.
Led us into that false sense of security, didn't it? Way back at the start of the season. Remember that game?
That sunny August.
I can remember doing the pod, and we were like, do we get carried away? Do we not? And I'm sure I was on that bandwagon of like, look, just let yourself get carried away with it. It doesn't happen much, It might not last.
I think when you come back to that point of like we haven't really hammered aside, because we've beaten Plymouth 4-0 and 3-0, but Plymouth, aside from the first 5 minutes of that Plymouth game, that was the reverse fixture a couple of weeks ago. We were great. We haven't really hammered aside, but I genuinely, I go back to that point of, I think that's because of how many goals we leak. It doesn't actually give you the capability to batter aside. You could argue, Paul Warren would probably argue differently. You could argue Derby at home, we were the better side and we scored, you scored 4 goals at home. There's no, I mean, we've said it with Leeds, we've said it with Sunderland. I didn't agree with the comments from Paul Warren after going, we've had loads of chances and this and that. If you've conceded 4, you've deserved every single one of them. It's very rare that a team has 4 shots and scores 4.
I suppose as well, Matt, I think we are mid-table, aren't we? And when you look back, last season we're down at the bottom. The 2 seasons prior, we were at the top. The season before that, it were we're in the relegation zone all season and then get relegated. So for the past 4-5 years, probably, we have just been either shit or really good. Yeah, do you know what I mean? We haven't had for a long time just this averageness where we just win some, we lose some. So I suppose really that it does the fact that we don't get hammered and don't dominate size just lends itself to the fact that we are just mid-table. And I mean, like when you think about it like that, there's a lot of people as well that were saying great substitutes at half time and stuff, and Danny got it right with the subs. It changed the game. Obviously, we went on to pick up a point. I think that's 21 points now from losing positions, which is great. But it's a damn sight easier if you just don't go behind in the first place. And I've also seen people saying as well, it's great that he's made the subs and he's changed it up, but is that not just admitting the fact that you perhaps got it wrong as well? And we'll come on to talking about whether Danny got it wrong in a second.
Yeah, no, I agree with the points. I think there are a couple of issues, but again, I think without wanting to sound really repetitive and boring here, you do need some level of squad rotation to be able to keep it fresh and to keep it competitive. The problem is that we have got a real lack of quality for competition at the minute in key areas. If you're talking you don't want to rotate your back line, we've had to all year. We've had to all year because of injuries, and we've now got arguably great header from Michael Ehekwe yesterday. Really, really good and solid and strong performance. He was I saw somebody post a meme of Wii Sports with somebody just heading footballs back at just the goal. I thought that was literally just him yesterday. And there was a lot of no-nonsense sort of centre-half play where, Steve Bracknell would have been very pleased. It goes sort of type of thing. And that was wonderful. But Michael Ehekwe should be nowhere near a championship side vying for playoffs. Absolutely nowhere near it. Callum Patterson, again, past couple of weeks, played really, really well, runs his blood to water every single week, tries his damned hardest, which is the bare minimum that any Sheffield Wednesday fan should be expecting from any footballer competing for a championship playoff spot. I know he's a bit of a kind of like a fan favourite, cult hero type of figure, but this is a player who was struggling to get game time for us in League One. You then coming on to Michael Smith. Again, I know there was a couple of comments after the derby of Michael Smith worked his nuts off when he come on. He's half a yard too slow. He's done brilliantly to get to where he's done. My argument is here, I suppose, James, without wanting to go around the houses over and over again. If we had Norwich's playing squad, we would comfortably be sat in the playoffs. Comfortably.
Yeah.
And it's not through everybody's lack of trying, because everybody you can see is even yesterday, no matter how bad that first half was, it was very clearly evident players were trying. And they were getting frustrated with passes going astray, or the not being a player being kind of like out of step with where they should have been, where the ball was being played to. They are trying their hardest to get there. But with this level of playing squad, you are going to get performances like we have seen like that. And those rare unicorn 90 minutes that happen over the course. We're what are we, 38, 39 games in now?
Something like that, yeah. 39
games. We know what this side is now. Like, it's pointless now, kind of like, there's a couple of arguments yesterday going, he's got no good, he's got me this, he's got me this. It doesn't matter now. You got 7 games left to try and make something of your season. Otherwise, you just call it a mid-table season and you say, that's fantastic from where we were last year. But like, it's pointless, kind of like, this sounds horrible. It's kind of difficult searching for answers now, because we kind of have all of them. It's just whether you want to accept them or not.
Yeah, I think as well, Danny coming out and saying his 8 cup finals and then seeing him set off in the way that he did, it was just a bit like, you've told the media. Have you told players that it's 8 cup final? I think you just missed some out here. Like, just the way they come out, it was literally pina colada. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I get your point. They are all trying. And I had this when we had when we had Giles on the pod. And I said to him, like, do their players ever not try? And it's like, that's never ever happens. Like, every footballer pretty much goes out there and does try their hardest and stuff. But it's just that perception you get as a fan, innit, really?
100%, especially when a game's not going the way that you would anticipate. Because the other thing is, and you've said it a number of times on here, James, and I think this is something that we as Sheffield Wednesday fans have to give some credit for, the opposition also do want to play football. The opposition do also have a game plan. And from Cardiff's perspective, yesterday they executed their game plan perfectly in the first half. Second half, they will have been disappointed.
Yeah, definitely. Let's move on to talking about Piers Charles then. We signed him back in 21-22 season, which is our first season in League One. He's gone on to make 3 appearances in the FA Cup, 4 in the League Cup, or the Carabao, 6 for Northern Ireland, starts that is as well, and now finally gets his first league start at a tender age of 19. Some of the stats for him: he made 4 saves, he had a 73% pass accuracy, which did include 7 successful long passes. Some people might be looking at that thinking 73%, but obviously a goalkeeper, typically when they do obviously go long, not every single long pass, makes
50-50. Yeah,
exactly. So just to bear that in mind. If you are an XG lover, or XGAT as it is for a goalkeeper, I don't know what GAT is, but anyway, it prevented 1 goal according to the statisticians.
Yeah.
What did you make to Piers Charles' performance? You kind of touched on it already, but just in a bit more detail.
I suppose, James, I look at it and just think, what more do people expect from him? Like, he is a 19-year-old making his first league appearance for any football club. Any football club. He's not Kieran Westwood. He's not Kevin Pressman. He's not England goalkeeper Chris Woods. At this point in time, he is just raw ability. And they do make him a fantastic modern-day goalkeeper. I saw a couple of opinions, and I know there's a tweet somewhere, isn't there, about kind of like slagging him off about like this and this and this.
I'll read it. Don't rate Charles Missent. I'm getting it in early. Decent distribution, but he's horrific on crosses. Needs to bulk up, in my opinion. He's as much as a clanger in him as Beadle. And then there's a reply. I've not seen anything in him that convinces me he'll be this amazing keeper everyone sees. Great passer of the ball, but that's what I want from the centre mids, not the keepers. And then another one kind of wades in. If it wasn't for his distribution, then nobody would talk about him. I've seen him have 1 good game, and that was at Brentford. Other than that, not being blown away. Has to start last 7 games now to get as much experience for next season.
Like when you say what, like blown away by what? Like what are you expecting? He's a goalkeeper, not a centre forward. Like
he's not done 3 step overs, Matt.
This is not a personal attack on those people who made those comments. But honestly, please wind your neck in and shut up. Because there is a whole raft of big clubs in the Premier League. And when we're talking big clubs, we are talking Aston Villa and upwards. We've had links with Liverpool. We've had links with Arsenal. We've had links with all of the top clubs in this country taking a look at him. He was on the books at Man City. They are far better to say than Graham, who sits on the south 4 rows from me, who thinks he can't catch and he's too small and he's got a bulk up. I'm just a little bit sick, James, if you can't tell, of everybody begging for these youth players and us to go out and sign young players, exciting players, and then all of a sudden they get frustrated when a young player plays. Like, there was the comment there about James Beadle, and this is not me defending James Beadle because, as I said right at the top of this, he deserved to be dropped on his recent performances. He is England's under-21 goalkeeper. This lad is playing national level football for his country at 19 years old.
Yeah.
What on earth do people expect from a goalkeeper? To never make a mistake? Well, that's not possible. Manuel Neuer, for years, who was heralded as the best keeper in world football, dropped clanger after clanger after clanger. And yet everybody just went, well, actually, he's so good with his feet, you run that risk. If you think back to that, was it the Russia World Cup where Manuel Neuer raced up the entire length of the pitch and was trying to dribble round people, and then South Korea went up the other end and scored? Like, I genuinely, I do not understand this logic and thinking. I suppose I understand where it comes from, because as Sheffield Wednesday fans who have been starved of success, relative success for 25, 26 years, and I'm talking that about like outside the Premier League, I get this is an alien concept. Young players coming in and learning their trade and making a mistake. But if you want this side to progress, get used to it. And get used to getting off their backs, because this is going to do fuck all these type of comments to help him.
I think the problem is as well is when you, as a Sheffield Wednesday fan, we only have the odd 1 or 2 that come through and actually break through. We've spoke about it before when it comes to the youth team. So I feel like we pin all our hopes on just one player that comes through. We're just hoping and praying that one person, that one player, is going to be the next best thing. Whereas other clubs have 4 or 5. So they all come in, and then 2 of them are fantastic and 3 of them are, one's average and 2 are dog shit. But you don't really get on the backs of the other ones, because all your attention just switches to the others that are playing. Whereas we only have one, and that is it. And I know obviously there's been a big build up to him, and there's been a lot of hype. I mean, like, his distribution for Northern Ireland has been second to none. There was a clip from the 5-1 hammering that they had against Sweden, where he's just clipping the ball out to his fullbacks. He's playing them passes into midfield, and turning and either getting a foul or starting an attack and stuff. And I do think it's right what you said. Like, goalkeepers are going to concede goals like that. It's just a matter of fact. You don't see I know it's a bit of an anomaly this season in the Championship, where there's sides at the top that are just keeping clean sheet after clean sheet. But typically speaking, the keepers do concede goals. It also depends on the players that are in front of you as well. They're the last line of defence. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got to have a bit of help from your centre backs and your defenders in front of you as well. But in terms of his performance, yesterday. Yeah, I think you're right. He did what he needed to do. All right, he's wrong-footed for the goal. Could he have perhaps done a little bit better? Maybe. But again, it's gone through the legs of Barry Bannon. He's probably thinking, when the lad cuts in, he's in a position, he's probably thinking he's going to go to his right. He's probably not going to think he's going to go to my left. He's thinking, I've got a player there. Surely it's not going to go through his. It's gone through his legs. Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's just wrong. It's just wrong-footed. It does make him look a bit silly, the fact that he's just kind of stood there and kind of watched it go in. But these things happen. You watch your top goalkeepers. That's gonna happen. I think they had about 45 corners or something. They didn't score from one, so you've got to take the positives from that. He punched a few. I agree. I feel like we have to 100%. Get behind him. Look, if he turns out to be absolutely dog shit, I'm not going to be sat on here peddling the fact that, he's all right, come on, give him another chance if he's absolutely terrible. But the fact that he's already, as you've mentioned, already in the national side, he's already Northern Ireland full international. He's made more appearances for them than he has for Sheffield Wednesday, which kind of says something as well. I know, you could argue Northern Ireland not the best nation in the world, but still, I'm sure they could pick other goalkeepers as well. And at the age of 19 to have got there. I mean, another thing as well, Westwood. You mentioned the 3 players that you mentioned earlier. Yeah. Westwood, 18. He's at Carlisle. He left Carlisle when he was 24 to go to Cov, and then obviously became the goalkeeper that we know. Pressman, he was 20 in 1987. I mean, he was good. Pressman were good in the mid 90s, so he's going to be mid 20s when he kind of became a good household name. Chris Woods, he was 32 when he come to Wednesday.
And then when you start going down like the rest of that list of like all the other, he was amazing. Lee Grant, mid-20s. Like, you can just keep on rattling goalkeepers off after goal. He was amazing. He was this. Every single one of those goalkeepers, Kieran Westwood, Kevin Pressman, Chris Woods, have all made mistakes at Sheffield Wednesday. Every single one of them. Honestly, James, I'm just sick to the back teeth of, and I've heard it a lot. I don't know whether it's just because of who I sit near and kind of the stand that I sit in. I have heard it an awful lot this season with players like Jeddy Gassama, who's arguably been one of our best players. Anthony Masaba last year, who without his goals, we don't stay up. Shay Charles at points this year has come in for some knocking from kind of like performances from some quarters, not all, but some. I say it's like 1-2%. What do you want? Because if these, the people who are making these type of comments just want us to go out and sign wonderful players at mid-20s and all the rest of it, cool. I mean this very nicely. You might as well go and watch somebody else, because Sheffield Wednesday are not that football club at the minute, because we can't afford those players. You have to give these young kids a chance to develop, because ultimately what will end up happening with Piers Charles, you can see it now. What will end up happening is he gets hounded out of here. Somebody else takes a chance on him, and 2 clubs' time, you're watching him play Europa League football going, fucking hell, how have we made such a rick there?
Oh, you mean like Fizeo Delabashiro? Do you mean that?
Because he is the player that I go back to, especially in recent time. Was he wonderful for Sheffield Wednesday? No, he wasn't. He wasn't wonderful for Sheffield Wednesday. But again, he was a child when he came to us and when he played for us. He then played in Darren Moore's system, which, okay, Darren Moore had an awful lot of pressure and he needed to go up and he needed experience to get us out of it. But at the start of that League One campaign, where we did eventually get promoted, he set off like a house on fire. He's then gone off and had, one club since, and then moved to Lazio.
Yeah.
He is now playing regular European top division football and playing on one of the biggest stages in world football in terms of like the European competitions that he battles for and plays for Lazio. He also is the number 10 for his national country. This is a player who I remember when he came on at Barnsley in the piss down rain, everyone going, oh, fucking hell, well, that's it then. Oh, we ain't going to do anything now because he's coming on. What are we doing with these kind of players? And I'm not saying that Piers Charles is anywhere near that level. I am saying I've seen enough from James Beadle over the last 18 months to say that he is more than competent enough to make a career as a top-end championship goalkeeper.
Yeah.
If people can say Piers Charles has only had one good game at Brentford, cool. That's one of 4 that he's had for Sheffield Wednesday, and it was against top division opposition and he looked great. So, what are we talking about? There was just an awful lot of... That was why, when I mentioned at the top that I was so surprised that Ben Hamer wasn't brought in. Because actually, I think with 8 games left where you've got an awful lot to play for, putting an experienced championship goalkeeper in who is going to know, do you know what? Keep on throwing it at me because I'm fine and I'm strong enough to deal with it. I just really hope that, and I don't think he has got the same kind of... I think he's got broader shoulders than maybe Joe Wildsmith and perhaps Cameron Dawson. That I don't want to do a disservice to either of those 2 players, but they were Sheffield Wednesday fans, lads, grew up in it. He's not had that. Yes, he probably feels like this is his club, but I do think he's got slightly broader shoulders because he's not had that attachment to them from when he was a kid.
Yeah, and the other thing, he has come from Man City, which says a lot. And again, he's in the national side, so he can just stick 2 fingers up and go, fuck you. Do you know what I mean? You can't say that he hasn't proved himself No, because do you know what I mean? Like he's got to the highest level that he can do for his national side already at 19. So
he's got to one of the highest levels of world football without playing a club game, like a league club game.
Mental, absolutely mental. Just going to read a few. One comment out. Richard said, "Did Charles sign a new contract, or is he out of contract end of this season?" He did sign a new contract at the start of this year. For how long? Who knows? Absolutely nobody knows how. It could be a year. It could be 10 years. We'll never find out, do we? So, but yeah, he did sign a new contract. So, fingers crossed. It is quite a lengthy one. I mean, for all the we've been talking negatively. I did put a kind of Piers Charles appreciation post out on Twitter. You might have seen at WTID Pod. If you're not already following us, I'll read out a few comments because there was quite a lot of positive comments as well. Peter said, "Thought he was class. Keeps things ticking around at the back and comes for everything. Well done, young man." Yvonne says, "As a goalie mum, I hate to see the criticism that's been aimed at Beadle. They're both fantastic keepers, but I do think we need to develop our own player." Darts or Henry has said, "His distribution could be better, but overall a solid performance." G, a regular on the debate show, number one next season. Northern Ireland's number one in my eyes. Well, he's Northern Ireland's number one in their eyes as well, because that's where he's playing. Keegan should start now. S9 Owl said should play every game from now until the end of the season. Beadle is amazing and will be a great Premier League goalkeeper, but our season is done and he won't be here next year. So Charles deserves being treated like the pro he is and not some mediocre academy prospect that'll leave for non-league. And then there was... this is a tongue-in-cheek one. Yet another one off the production line. Jamie Vardy, Liam Palmer, Mark Beavers, Jamie Vardy, Richie Humphries, Derek Dooley, Peter Swan. The list goes on. It's funny because he did catch a United fan with that one. Jamie Vardy twice, and he doesn't even count laughing emojis. Yeah. Didn't get the sarcasm in that post, but we'll let him off. We'll let him off with that one. Let's hope it continues with Piers Charles. Really, let's hope he has a decent run in the side. I think now with the fact that he has started one, he's got to really go on and carry on playing for me. You can't keep chopping. It's only 8 games. Well, it's only 7 games left now. I think whatever slap on the wrist we might get for not playing Beadle. Let's just take it.
I suppose if you're in Brighton's position, and James Beale doesn't start another game, I don't think you can really argue with the fact of he's had 16 to 18 months here where he's had an awful lot of development. Yeah, he's had an awful lot of development. Yeah, I would argue on the whole, it's been a really, really positive experience for him at Sheffield Wednesday. I'm talking about it like he's done. He might come back in the next couple of games. You never know. It has been an incredibly positive experience. He was instrumental in staying up last year. You cannot deny the fact that he has also played a key role in getting us to where we are this season. And now with 8 games left to go, obviously before this, when the switch was made, there has been a dip in form, and you could make an argument from a Sheffield Wednesday perspective. I'm trying to take him out the firing line here because he's getting battered from pillar to post by Wednesday fans, and he's about to get battered from pillar to post by anybody who watched those England under-21 games as well. We also don't know if he's dealing with an injury because he got hooked at half-time in the England game against Portugal at the Hawthorns. So who knows, really? He will go on to have another loan spell. I would imagine next year he will be playing top-end championship football. And when I say top-end championship football, it will be for one of the 3 relegated sides, I would imagine, if Southampton sell their goalkeeper, for argument's sake. Or he'll go back into Brighton's side and he'll be loaned out to somewhere on the continent. But he's a very good goalkeeper. Just because he's made a couple of mistakes in the past couple of weeks, every goalkeeper goes through rough patches. This is just the first of his career, and I'm looking forward to seeing him bounce back.
Yeah, definitely. Did you listen to Danny's post-match comments after the game with Radio Sheffield? Yeah. He was speaking about kind of, we've got nothing to lose now. Obviously, we're over 50 points, so that's it. We can kind of take the shackles off a little bit, and that they should be able to perform better without those pressures and stuff. Do you think we will? Do you think we're going to go into these last 7 games and suddenly start, playing really well? I mean, it didn't really work against
flowing.
Yeah, like just zipping it around, like diags for fun, and little Cruyff turns every 2 minutes. Back heel. Who was the team? Was it Middlesbrough? They had about 4 back heels.
Oh yeah, the finish was a back heel as well.
Yeah, yeah. That'll be us in the next against Hull, won't it, on Saturday? But
bobbling off the pitch as someone tries to back heel it off the back of the calf.
Yeah, I mean, look, I suppose I was about to say there might be loads of goals and might be conceding loads of goals, but to be fair, what's different to how it's been all season? Do you know what I mean? Like that's what we've been doing, isn't it? But I mean, look, it's great for him to say that. Again, I think it comes down to the quality of the players that we've got, doesn't it, really? Whether we can really start to be, I don't want to say flamboyant, I don't think it really means that, does he? What he means is just, throw caution to the wind, doesn't he? And let's see what happens.
Sorry, James. At this point, does it really matter if you win 3-1 or lose 4-0? Like, really seriously, because most fans that you speak to have talked themselves out of getting into the playoffs. Most fans have talked themselves out of it. Like, me and you have sat here and said we both expect a mid-table finish. I actually expect that there will be more chances like yesterday where sides around us are inconsistent, just like we were. Why? Because that has been the course over the entire season. Like Coventry, prime example, go up to Bramall Lane on Friday night, get slapped and properly slapped. It's not just beat, it's absolutely taken apart. It felt yesterday, especially after the first 45 minutes, an absolutely hideous day for us to have a bad day because everybody around us was doing shit as well. But actually, when you take stock of it at the end, we've gained a point. If we are still within touching distance and it is still mathematically possible at Easter, that little spell of like 3 games in a week, an awful lot changes. An awful lot changes in those kind of 3 weeks. And that is where I'm just going to come back to Owen's point here. Owen wrote it a little while ago. 6 points off the playoffs on Friday, 5 points off the playoffs today. We were shit, but so was everybody else. And that is it. At this point in the season, it does not matter. We said it last week. I will reiterate it again now. You have to back these players until it is mathematically impossible for us to do something. You can't just be like, because there was a couple of comments yesterday after, I think it was after the first 25 minutes of how shit we were, and then we went 1-0 down. People were going, fucking hell, these lot have got their flip-flops on and this and that. And I was just thinking, well, they've not. This is just us this season. Like, we're guaranteed to concede. You've just got to hope that they can still keep going to that well, which I think we've seen enough evidence now to suggest that they will just keep on going.
I mean, just looking at some of the fixtures coming up, Middlesbrough have got to go to Blackburn on Friday night. I know Blackburn are in free fall, but you never know. West Brom have got to host Sunderland. Sunderland a fourth. That's going to be tricky for them. Who else we got? Bristol City have got Watford. So one of those two sides are going to slip up and drop points. Yeah. Who else we got? Coventry and Norwich, who are ahead of us, and they've got Coventry have got Burnley. Yeah, that's going to be tough. And then Norwich, who I can't quite see at the moment, no idea who they're playing. Plymouth, well, that's 3 points nailed on for Norwich. But there's some tough fixtures there. Not every game is going to be easy, and we have got some relatively easy fixtures coming up. But I to your point, I do agree. We have to just get behind him and see what happens. I've seen comments saying that's it, it's over, it's not going to happen, and we don't want to get there anyway because we're just going to get slapped to get him embarrassed. I'd rather have the money, though. To be fair, like let's be right about it, and I'd rather other fans be whinging about us having those parachute payments. Do you know what I mean? Like
100%. And I'd also rather give us the chance. I've just highlighted this one from Sam here. It's not over until the flat bloke sings, and I'm not singing yet. I'll wait, Sam. We'll all wait on you. But like I just look at it and just think it would be incredibly Sheffield Wednesday to not beat any side in the top 6 all year and then do what Huddersfield did and get a draw, go through on penalties, get to Wembley, and then just turn it on against one of those sides. Now, there is a high likelihood that that doesn't happen for all parties, and that if we did by some miracle get into the top 6, we get comfortably beaten over 2 legs, because we'll be playing the side in third. Like, we're not going to finish 5th, are we? We're going to be playing the side who's in third, which is going to be one of them down the road, Burnley or Leeds, who have all this season, aside from United, comprehensively beaten us over on an aggregate scoreline. Whether the games have been like that or not, they have comprehensively beaten us. But I'd rather be in with a chance than be sat at home watching them.
Yeah, and I don't want to be repeating myself over and over again, but I just look at it and go 5 points, 6 points if you want to be pedantic with goal difference.
Yeah.
6 point gap, and yet we didn't sign anyone in January. You know, all right, the players we've signed haven't even made any impact in the squad whatsoever. Armstrong's injured. Sissoko, well, he might as well be on beach, to be fair, because I've no idea where he is or what he's doing. You know, and just with a little bit of investment, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Do you know what I mean? Like, where could we have been? And do you know what as well? Everyone said it before the season. Everyone said that this season will be one of this championship season will be a poor one. There's not a great deal of quality in there. And look what's happened. It's just played out exactly like that. We didn't really, you know, I'm going to say it didn't. Danny Röhl did not get backed in the summer, regardless of what you say. Like, I'm not being like, for me, being backed, he's been given a comparable transfer budget with the teams that are around you. You know, we're not going to compete with those at the top. We're not going to be spending 60, 70, 80 million pounds or anything like that. But we spent 2.5 million. Like, that's not comparable. And you know, it came out with the Kieran Maguire put out like what we spent. All right, granted, that's from like last season on the last accounts. We're like 23rd, you know, in terms of budget spent. Like, it's really, really poor. And then, you know, January comes around, and again, we don't spend any money. We don't bring any recruitments in that are of note. We don't get a defender a centre back that we was absolutely screaming out for. Anyway, I'll get off me high horse. I'm getting myself frustrated just even thinking about it. Again, it's just that word missed. 2 words. Sorry, missed opportunities. Missed opportunity FC. We are.
James, I agree with you, because next year is not going to be the same opportunity. Yes, there will still be a lot of mid-table fodder. I would probably add ourselves into that mix next year. There will still be a lot of mid-table, but the sides who are coming down, you would imagine from the last time that they were in the division, they are going to be stronger. There is also going to be Coventry, who you would expect to be better, because remember, they handicapped themselves right at the start of this season by having an absolute stinker and a howler and a big old FA Cup hangover. I don't want them to, but can you imagine how hilarious it would be if Leeds stay down again? I want Leeds and Burnley to go up autos, obviously, but can you imagine how hilarious it's going to be? But they'll be strong again.
Do you know what we've got a 2 out of 3 chance that it's going to be funny for
for someone.
Do you know, for us as Wednesday fans. Do you know what I mean? Like, either they don't go up, or it's Leeds that don't go up. The only one that we kind of don't want to, you know, if Burnley finish third, it's just a bit whatever.
Shit,
and I know obviously they can win to the playoffs, and they can still get promoted via the playoffs and stuff. But you know how they've been going off all season. I'm just going to put this one up. Matt said, "How can DC back him if he's got no money?"
He can't. And we've covered that, because I mean, there was that point that the chairman raised at the fans forum in January. I feel like we cover this at least once a week. The point of, like, the manager only asked for 6 players and I gave him 11. Okay, wonderful. They're not the right players. The same is exactly the same in January. Like, you can say, you know, like, he wants this, and Danny could go in, you know, whether he put his dummy back in by that point or not, and say, like, you know, we need a centre half. Like, it's very, very clear. Well, I can't get you one of those, but I can get you a winger who's injured. Cool. Like, because again, we've signed a player like Ibrahim Sissoko. I'm not going to make a judgment on him. We haven't seen enough of him. We haven't seen barely anything of him. From what I saw from him at Plymouth, there's a player there. Do I think we should be going out and spending £2 million on him? I think if we actually had a budget in the summer, I think it's worth a risk and a punt because of how young he is. But we don't. That would be.
But do you know what though? I can say the same about Hatsuse.
Yep.
Like why has he come in so late on? Do you know what I mean? I know it's been his contract and stuff, so maybe that's why it took a little bit longer. But him, you can't really say much about him. Kabatske, I know he got injured and stuff. I can't really give a judgment on him. McNeil, another player we signed, can't really tell you about him other than Danny doesn't rate him, so maybe not as good as what we first thought. Armstrong again. Yeah, he got injured. There's so many players that we've got that there's just a question mark over him. Not because it's just because we don't know what they're like, if they're any good or not, because they haven't even played.
Yeah, I've just highlighted this, James, so I'll send this one to you, which is from Joel. Do we believe Danny wanted any of these players that we signed in January?
Well, I have heard about Hatsuse, and again, I don't know how true this is or not, but apparently he just turned up at the training ground and Danny did not have a clue that he was who he was or anything. Mm-hmm. Again, I don't know how true that is, but I mean, more to that point, did he even want any of these players? I've no idea. He's not playing. If you signed a player like Sissoko in January, you would be playing him. Like, look at the players that we signed last January; they all played.
Yeah, I agree. If fit, I agree, 100%.
But what? The thing is that I saw Simon tweeting about Sissoko as well, and whilst it's not really worked, I do feel like he's the kind of profile of player that we do need to sign, like that young
100%.
player with some sort of sell on clothes. The players that we don't need to sign is like Stuart Armstrong.
Yeah, I agree. You want to change it so that Stuart Armstrong is 1 to every 6 young players that you sign, because you need some experience in there. You do need some experienced heads in there to coach them through games. You can't just have it. It's not my opinion. My opinion is not that we should have a crash. Send out 11 players who are all like literally just fresh out of nappies. Like,
but experience doesn't have to be over 30 though. You can have an experienced 27-year-old player. Do you know what I mean? For us, that's if we sign someone who's 27, he's in the crash. Like, as far as we're concerned, he brings the average age down. Do you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be like that.
It's just strange. And I think I just highlight this one again because it is a good question from Matt. Would DC trust Danny with the money after the Ugbo signing? My personal opinion is, again, it comes back to the owner less the manager, because don't get me wrong, Ike Ugbo has not worked this season. I'm not going to sit here and try and defend it and say he runs around a lot. I'm going to sit here and say that signing, for whatever reason, has not worked out this year. We can unpick it at the end of the season as to why it's not gone right. I would love to get Tom's input in on it as well, from kind of like his thoughts on why it hasn't worked out. But if you are just going to gamble £2 million on one player, and that has to work, that's too much pressure, I would argue, for pretty much anybody at this level. Because we know that we've just been mentioning there, Ibrahim Sissoko, there's a price tag on his head in the summer. There's a price tag of £2 million. Now, I would argue, what is he, 21 years old, 22?
Yeah, something like that.
We have what, first refusal on him if we want him in the summer. We have seen, what, 4:30, well, at less than 30-minute performances from him, because we knew that when we signed him, he's injured and he's not been fit. What then? Like, do you, with a club that is so ridiculously tight on the purse strings as we are, because we have got fuck all, do you go out and sign him? Well, I would argue, with our current level of investment into the squad, no, you can't take that gamble.
But it shouldn't be a gamble though, Matt. Signing a player like him shouldn't be a gamble. It should. We shouldn't have had him on loan. We should have signed him in January.
Agreed.
And then as well as another and another and another, knowing that some of them won't come off, and you might lose a bit of money on them, but one of them is gonna work. Like, you're right. We pin all our hopes on one player. They're not always going to work all the time, but other clubs are signing multiples of these players, and there's no wonder why other clubs seem to be better off financially than us, and it seems to be working. Why are other clubs not getting done by FFP every week? Every other month. Why is it not another scandal? Why is it not points deductions being thrown out left, right, and centre? Because if we can't, the excuse is always he can't spend money because they're FFP. Why are other clubs doing it then? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, let's look at the other clubs around us. They're managing to do it. They're managing to work it out and be able to spend money on signings and improve their squad. But yet we can't. And we just, again, shopping at Middle Isle at Aldi all the time.
Yeah.
We're $5. But we're walking, we're $5. And like, what can we get with this $5? And sometimes it works. More often than not, it doesn't. And then we act surprised, don't we, that when we get to this stage and why we've not taken all these other opportunities. I realise we've been talking for an hour and 10 minutes and we still haven't talked about the goals really.
Two goals.
Yeah, there were 2 goals in this game. Believe it or not, we've touched on their goal. Shit all round. Yeah, whatever. 1-0.
Agreed. The only concern that I have, and this was only because as I mentioned, I was forced to sit in a bar and have 20 screens at a bar in Nottingham with the Sheffield United game on. So no matter how much I tried to avert my gaze, I couldn't. Do you know the thing that surprised me? Because Coventry had an awful lot of opportunities around their box. One thing that Sheffield United, I will give them some credit for this. One thing Sheffield United did well, and we saw this at Hillsborough, is they have got bodies flying at players taking a shot, and every single one of them there is contact made on the ball by a player. My issue here was not with Pierce Charles. Barry Bannon is old enough and ugly enough to wear this on his shoulders. If you are at a player's feet when he takes a shot, it can't go through your legs.
Yeah,
like it's a great finish. He reverses it. Bannon's probably expecting him to whip it round into that far corner. I get all of that. If you are at a player's feet when they take the shot, the one place that it can't go is back through your legs. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
the rest of it was shite, though.
Yeah, you could see it coming. And do you know what? They just cut through us like hot knife through butter as well. I mean, it looked so easy. It was unreal. And, like, again, you couldn't see, you could say that it wasn't coming. There was pressure after pressure. They did what kind of we invariably don't do, which is have a lot of pressure and we, generally speaking, let the other team off the hook. But they didn't. They scored a goal. I suppose they did let us off the hook a little bit in that they didn't make it 2 or 3, which you've already touched on. But yeah, we had to wait until we've made a few changes. We get our first corner of the game, and finally, we score from a corner. Virgil van Dijk, an absolute bullet header, and let's give the set piece coach a little bit of credit. Something a little bit different. They were all kind of stood really deep, like off as far away as they perhaps could be from the corner taker. And yeah, they all kind of rushed forward, and doing something like that, it's much harder to mark someone who's moving than it is when you're static. And that's exactly what we did. Maglekwa comes in late, gets a leap on his man. It's a great ball in. Let's not deny it either. Great ball, and then ahead of it, you're not really going to save, are you? From what? Where is he? 6 yards out. He hits the target. Does exactly what he should be doing. And what's that? 2 in 3 now. He's a man in form now.
Form,
Mr. Virgil van Dijk.
He's a great header. I think I was most impressed with the run that he makes because it's an opposite run to where everybody else goes. Like if you actually go back and look, there's a camera angle down the line of the actual corner, and everybody else kind of goes to make that arcing run towards the penalty spot and then cut back. Virgil obviously runs the other way. He runs behind the defender. I am not so enamored with the delivery. I think the delivery is, I think you were being very kind there, James. I think the delivery is yet another one of those floated corners into the box. It just happened to be absolutely pinpoint accuracy. We've seen plenty of those deliveries go into the box and a centre-half just get their head on it and head it away. No, I'm going to take nothing away from the header, though. He's got a man on the line, a goalkeeper, and it is past both of them before they're both off the floor. It's a great header. Really, really powerful header. And, just before that corner was given, Svante Ingelsson forces, is it Ng, to kind of like, it bounces off his shins and goes out for a corner. That is the example of us running ourselves back into a game by just sheer dedication and application and will and fight and all of that Chris Wilder bollocks about like there's no data and this and that and all the rest of it. That was what was missing in the first half. Like, legitimately, that was what was missing, that pressing, that front-footed nature, forcing somebody into making an error, and it was nice to see it was capitalised. I really hope that set piece coach, who's had a fucking hard ride of it from us, from every one of the fan base, went home and had a long, stiff drink last night.
Yeah, you got the cigars out. Like, I've been waiting for this, lads, for many, many weeks.
That 2 weeks on the training ground, just practicing that one corner, it's come off. Yeah, it was a really, really good header. My only concern after that was we didn't really threaten.
No.
We had a Bannon sort of sliced one wide. We had a fantastic delivery. I think it was from Marvin Johnson, where it goes into that corridor of uncertainty, as people like to say. And had it not been for a wonderful piece of defensive interception from a centre half, it would have fallen to Michael Smith. Difficult chance because he's wide of the goal, but you would have expected him to score. My concern was, why isn't, because I think it's when the ball's played in, Svante Ingelson's facing the wrong way. Why he's not just making a dart to the near post or something like that, I'm a little bit puzzled by. But yeah, very limited opportunities for us in the game yesterday. But the one that came and was a good opportunity, I mean, that is a towering header from a centre half. Really, really good goal.
And it's something, to be fair, if I'm being critical, is that we haven't seen enough of this season. You know, goals from your centre backs, for me, they should be getting at least 3 or 4, each, to be fair. And you should be chipping in with a decent amount, especially with the number of corners that we get. We get a lot of corners. It's a good opportunity to score goals. Like, you would look at some of the better teams, or the teams that do well in any sort of league, and they take advantage of the set pieces, and we just don't do that at all. No. Well, we don't take advantage of them when we're just poor at defending them. Although, recent weeks we have been better, so let's give them a little bit of credit on that one. Let's read some of the 3-word match reviews out then. We've got Neil's gone with not good enough. Scott says Shea must play. James says not competitive enough. Dave, bring on Wrexham. Not sure where he's going on with that one. Yeah. Rob, another pathetic display. Dale, wank first half. Just don't mince your words, Dale. Jake, beach-bound Owls. I read a few more out. Starting lineup wrong. Playoffs still possible. Not a defeat. Subs saved point. Flip-flops on. Abysmal and unprofessional. This one here only needs 2 words. Awful team. Poor first half. Big opportunity missed. Didn't look bothered. First half cost. Better than no. And I'll read one more. I'm trying to find another one that's. I think I've read them. I think I've read them all out there.
Positive and not just wank.
Not just all the same. Yeah, playoffs still possible. I think I read that one out. Anyway, let's move on. Then we've got Hull coming up next. Just seeing if there's any comments that I need to read out. Matt's also got involved. Said Gassama and Windass performances have gone stale as the contracts are in limbo. We know what's going to happen. Pato and Palmer will sign another year and the rest will leave. It's the Wednesday way.
Oh, come on. But then Matt's been really positive a little bit further down. The one that I would like to
don't worry, we'll beat Hull and the playoffs will be back on. Get behind the lads. Enjoy the last few games under roll, and then we can get ready for the roller coaster. The roller coaster, which is pre-season, which is supposed to be nice.
It's all downhill. The only one that I was going to highlight here, James, was just this comment from Gary here, who said, we seem to win a lot of headers from corners, but sky them over the bar. Do you know what, Gary? Now you've actually written that, and as James was reading out the 3-word match review, I'd just clocked it. I was actually like, yeah, we do win a lot of first contact from headers, both defensively and like from an attacking standpoint. They never actually seem to go anywhere. Like, defensive clearances don't really go very far. They seem to go up rather than out. And actually attacking headers, they seem to just go 20 foot over the bar, like looping ones that don't really do anything. So yeah, it's a really good point. I'm going to watch out for that actually over the next 7 games.
Yeah, I'm just going to... A great website is theanalyst.com if people are interested in all like the... them sorts of stats and stuff like that. I was just trying to see if I could have a quick look on there. They do have stuff for about set pieces and XG from set pieces and stuff, just to see whether our XG is any good or not from those. But That's for another time. I'll have a look at that a little bit later on. Coming up then, it is Hull on Saturday. Ruben Sellers is their manager. Looked at where they are in the league. Another side that's languishing down near the bottom. 20th. They lost to Luton. A fantastic own goal, by the way. Have you seen it, man?
It's a belter.
It is Comedy Central, isn't it? Just
straight on kick as well. Oh God.
Yeah, they need the that music on it, because if anyone's not seen it, basically the defender goes to clear it. It's him straight in the face or in the midriff or somewhere like that, and then just bounces straight into the goal. Slapstick comedy at its best. But yeah, we're up against Hull. They strange side are Hull. Just they don't seem to be getting it going whatsoever, having spent an absolute fortune, in the past couple of years, and they have just literally fell off a cliff. Like I said, they find themselves 20th. The forming is indifferent. 2 wins, 2 draws, and 2 defeats in the last 6, which does include that 1-0 defeat to Luton, who are another side that are well down there. 23rd, I think they are in the league. I said it before the game against Cardiff. That was a must-win. So this is a must-win. It's at home. We need, we've got to win a game at home, haven't we? We can't just continue not winning games at Hillsborough, can we?
You're right, James. Must win. No other notes. This is the point in the season where, again, if you want to keep this alive, it's a must-win. You can't have 2 draws and expect to get anywhere with it, because you're not all of a sudden just going to go win 6 on the spin. This is a must-win. Hull are a very different proposition to the one that we went and played earlier in the season, both in the Carabao Cup and in the league, in terms of, as you highlighted with the form, they do have a bit of an indifferent form, but usually for the bottom of the division, that indifferent form is good enough to get you out of trouble. You have to win this, but I will highlight this, and George has highlighted it in the chat here, very similar game to yesterday. And by that, the point that I took from that, George, is you've got to earn the right to go and beat them first. You can't just turn up and think you're going to do it just on football, because that felt a little bit like the first half was like, oh, well, why is this not working? I'm feeling a bit sorry for ourselves, because they went down the road to our neighbours earlier on this year and slapped them 3-0. You have to go and put in a performance, out-battle them, outwork them, and then ultimately, do I feel that we are a better side and we will be able to what's the word here? Capitalise. There we go. Do I feel we will be able to capitalise on the mistakes that there will inevitably be from their back line and from their midfield? Yes, but you have to be in a position where you have given yourself the chance to do so.
I think Danny's got to get it right there with the starting lineup on Saturday. I think we've got to really go for it from the gun.
Yeah,
I don't want to see Jamal Lowe starting at all. I think his ship sailed for him. To be honest, this season, it's unfortunate we've got Jamal Lowe that's not really pulling up any trees. Ike Ugbo that can't take cows arse with a banjo. 2 players there. McNeil, who we brought in, who might as well not even be in the squad, because he's clearly not playing at all. These 3 players there, 3 attacking players that we've just not been able to call upon and do a good job. So we are pinning our hopes on, Michael Smith, your Windasses, your Callum Pattersons and stuff like that. But
very 2 years ago, James.
Yeah. We've not even moved on from that. It's true, though, isn't it? Like, look at them players are literally players we've had. Like League One, we're saying that we need to win a game to perhaps potentially get in the playoffs, and we're pinning his hopes on League One players. But he's got to get it right, and we've got to, Shea Charles will be playing in the middle, so I think that's not going to be a problem whatsoever. I'm happy at keeping Pierce Charles in goal. Let's just, he's done it now. Let's just stick with it and let's see what happens. Akinfenmewo could be back. That's going to be. If Akinfenmewo does come back in? Is that going to be for Ehekwe or Iofa? I see you've put a comment. Let's read that comment and then we'll get on.
Sorry, James. Yeah, I was just before we go on to that back one, because I do think there are a couple of discussions for that back line for Saturday. It's the one from Lee Winslow here, which says, don't know what Jamal Lowe is as a player. He's not a striker or a winger, not quick, not strong, not particularly skillful. Although last time I said that, he scored the winner against Derby 10 minutes later. My argument with Jamal Lowe, and I was going to make it, but we've ended up kind of like going off onto far more important things. My look with Jamal Lowe is, how many times have we started him in his actual position this season as a left winger, coming in off the left wing to score? We haven't. Yeah. We haven't played to his strengths, apart from Plymouth and arguably Oxford, both of which he had his best performances for us. We haven't played to his strengths at any point this season.
He's not a number 9, is he?
No, he's not. And we were also on the game on Saturday, we tried to play him as a target man. He's not that. Like, we tried to play him as a target man with no support around him. He's not that. So
if he's a target man, I'm Jason Statham.
Honestly, I just kind of look at it and just think, do you know what? Like, I am not going to sit here and criticise a player who has been consistently good at this level for a good number of years. Yes, Swansea decided to let him go at the end of last year and obviously decided not to renew, and we've obviously picked him up. Do I feel that we could get a tune out of him? Yeah, I feel we could have got a tune out of him. I feel we could have got a tune out of EK Ugbo, but that's another failing on the manager, which we can talk about at the end of the season.
Do you know what? Jamal Lowe is one of the big disappointments for me this season, because when we signed him, I thought, yes, we've got a player here that's got, some decent pedigree. Do you know what I mean? He's played at a decent level. Every time I've seen him, he has looked quick. But yeah, like he's just literally flattered to deceive, and not what I expected at all with him. Let's go back to that question that I asked you then before. Akinfenwa, obviously he's fit. He came off the bench for the last 5-10 minutes against Cardiff. Does he go straight into the starting lineup for Saturday? And if he does, who is that at the expense of? Is it Michael Ehekwa, or is it Dom Iorfa, or is it even Paul Valentin, and you shuffle them all across?
Yeah, it's Paul Valentin. For me, that's not a debate. It's Paul Valentin, and that is if Jan Valery is not back, because obviously it is Eid today or tomorrow, depending on when you celebrate. So whether Jan Valery is back after obviously this month, because he's been out for almost literally just a month period of time, which has coincided potentially with him fasting. I don't know whether he's had an injury, because nobody's really spoken about him, have they? Well, the club haven't
really impressed on it either.
No, the club haven't spoken about it. Nobody's pressed him on it in press conferences. So if he is back, he is the player who should be coming in. Like, there's no ifs or buts, because I think he was receiving criticism before he came out the side. I think it's bluntly obvious now to everybody who's watching Sheffield Wednesday, he is the right wing back who should be playing. Yeah. I would look at it and think, if Akinfenwa, say for argument's sake, if Jan Valery is not back fit, Paul Valentin comes out, Dominic Iorfa goes to the right, Michael Ehekwa and Akinfenwa play in the centre, and then it's a toss-up between Rio Hatsuse and Marvin Johnson for me. I think for Marvin Johnson's impact, I think he's got to come on, but I do also think you've got to have Rio Hatsuse in and around that side, because I actually think in some games, unlike some of the comments yesterday, Rio Hatsuse had an appalling game. Maybe he'll bin the bag off, as you were talking about at the start of the season, and his performances will improve.
Do you know what? He's going to turn up on Saturday with an Asda carrier bag.
Yeah, just for the bants. But realistically, you have to rotate between the two. It's not one position it's not like somebody's shirt and they can't lose it. Yeah. My issue is in the forward areas, because yesterday for the first half, we were blunt yesterday.
We had 9 shots all game, 2 on target. It's not good enough, is it really?
No, we were blunt yesterday. And considering for the past couple of weeks, we've been saying we create an awful lot of chances and don't take them. We didn't create fuck all yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely nothing. So I think your back line, if Akinfenwa is ready to go for 90 minutes, or even kind of like you can squeeze an hour out of him, do so at this point in time. Because remember, this is another player who is out of contract that we need to have a discussion about at the end of the season. The midfield, Shea Charles has to play. Barry Bannon has to play. If you can duct tape up Stuart Armstrong, that'd be wonderful, but I don't see that happening. I'd like to see Svante Ingelsson playing in a 3 there, and then Windass 1 wing, Kusama 1 wing, and I cannot believe I'm saying this from how much I've slated him. It's got to be Callum Patterson up front on his own.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be happy with that. You're right. It's absolutely mental that we're even considering that. But this is the hand that we've been dealt. Do you know what I mean? These are the players that we've got at our disposal, and coming into these final games, I suppose you've got to play the one that's in the onion bag. Do you know what I mean? And he has done. And yeah, Smith maybe come off the bench and
Better off the bench.
He is, isn't he? Like, it's one of them ones, isn't it? If he keeps working, just stick to it. Like, let's talk about it after the event. Do you know what I mean? But whilst ever it's working, just keep doing it. Yeah, I mean, let's wrap things up. Well, actually, let's have a score prediction. What's the score going to be on Saturday against Hull?
We'll concede. There's no bones about that, James.
2-1.
My head says 1-1. My heart says 2-1. Fuck it. Let's go with the heart. 2-1. 2-1 Wednesday.
I want to say Pierce Charles is going to be in between the sticks. He's going to get a clean sheet. I'm going to go 1-0 against Hull. Squeaky bum time. Just never make it easy.
No.
But yeah, I'm going to go for a 1-0 win. Let's just read a few comments out before we do finish. Gary, Armstrong back training. So hopefully Baz Charles and Armstrong in a 3 when we've played that. RE Burnley and Coventry. We've played very well. Matt said 5-0, Ugbo hat-trick, Bannon screamer, and an Ingleson overhead kick. Matt, wherever you're smoking,
Matt,
stop.
what I would give for the first line of that, not the 5-0, the Ugbo hat-trick, you would not fucking believe, Matt.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
The smug, I might not even say anything on here next Sunday, James. The smug look on my face, I might not be able to get through it.
If he does, I'll buy you a home shirt with Ugbo on the back.
Ugbo on the back. Go on, lad.
But do you know what as well? I tweeted it. We were losing at the time, and I tweeted, this screams Ugbo coming on to score the winner. And then obviously we got the equaliser, and I was like, Danny, do it. Come on, it's on. And then when Smith come on, and then obviously Akinfenwa come on as the last sub right at the end, I was like, You've bottled it, Danny.
You have bottled it. Thing, and it's boring.
Yeah. What about this? Letting the shackles off. Bollocks. You talk a lot of rubbish. Gary did say that Akin looks about 2 stone overweight. I didn't see that myself, but I'll keep an eye on that when I next.
I think the other thing is as well, Gary, is he is an absolute unit. Like he did. Yeah. I mean, he looked in fantastic shape before his injury. Like he looked probably. I mean, he was in the best shape I think we've ever seen him as a Sheffield Wednesday player. I just think I definitely forget it with Akinfenwa because I thought at the start of the season, I just thought, Jesus Christ, size of him. Like how anybody ever manages to get round him. Like, let alone kind of like beats him all end up. Like, I don't know.
Him and Bambo Diaby.
Oh, God. Terrifying.
Just like a nuclear collision, won't it, between the two of them?
God alive.
Joel says, I was the same, James. Really was excited over Jamal Lowe. Definitely. Matt said, bring back Semedo. I don't know in what context, but yeah, we'll have Semedo, definitely. George, main thing about the next match is making sure we don't have our Yorkshire rivals singing "Mauled by the Tigers." That goes down as one of the worst chants I've ever seen.
It's changed now, hasn't it? You see, I think that's changed now, and that's become sort of just like part of accepted. I think when the minute United fans started singing "Sausage Roll," I actually thought, no, there's a new contender in town. There's a new contender in town here for lowest of the low appalling banter.
I can remember Ipswich away a couple of seasons back, where it must have been in League One, when George Byers scored.
Yes,
that game that we should have won, and we didn't. And it did the salute, and I can remember saying on the pod how we've got grown men saluting another footballer this is what it's come to as a football fan. So maybe I'm being a little bit hypocritical when I say this, but getting grown men and women doing this mauled by the Tigers action, get in the bin. I'm sorry.
You see, I don't know, James, because I think as an opposition fan, if I looked over to an away end and you had 2,000 of all of us lot doing this, I'd probably think the fucking same, to be honest. I honestly, I thought that
for your audio listeners, he's just done the Deschamps Bernard.
Deschamps Bernard, or the 3 points away, ole. Because Chris Powell obviously starts at he's really on board with it.
He loves that, doesn't he? Yeah.
But honestly, I did think it was at Plymouth because I was thinking, I know what it's like to be in Plymouth shoes. You know you're going down. you know you're getting relegated, you know you've just been battered, and you turn to an away end, and there's an away end full of 2,000 odd fans going 3 points away, ole, ole, just doing that. I'd be thinking, oh no, just your head's got to come off, hasn't it?
Maybe we should have a ranking then of like most embarrassing
Hand
chants or gestures
Hand gesture chants.
or whatever. I still think More by the Tigers will be well up there if we had one. There. Matt said, if Mrs. hasn't given birth by Saturday, then I'm going to the game. Priorities. Well, I hope it all goes according to plan, whether it comes before or after or whatever, and hopefully we get 3 points to kind of celebrate as well. Just don't do the Maul by the Tigers celebration or anything like that when she has given birth. It might not go down too well. Anyway, let's wrap things up. Massive thanks everyone for listening. Of course, we are going to be recording extra time after this. We've asked for all the members to put some questions towards us, a bit of a Q&A. So if you want to listen to that one or watch that one, head over to patreon.com/WTID pod and you can join all the other 200 members over there. There is a free trial as well, so no excuse if you haven't already signed up. But yeah, thank you very much everyone, and we'll see you all next time.